Let's go.
Welcome to the Safety Third podcast, this special edition where Kevin is invisible.
Yeah.
Isn't
Kevin,
that right,
can
Kevin?
you tell us about how you're invisible right now?
Oh, I guess because he's invisible, he can't make sounds either.
Oh, his sounds are invisible too.
Whoa.
But look, Nigel's here. Nigel's back. Now everyone's happy.
Yay.
Do you realize that if none of us showed up except for Nigel, everyone would actually be okay with it?
Yes. You know, the problem is it's got to be Nigel with other people, but if there's no Nigel, then it falls apart.
Yeah.
Because Nigel by himself is boring. Nigel with us is great.
Hey, what are you talking about? How do you know I'm boring?
Yeah, we've never actually tried a Nigel-only podcast.
Just me.
What if we gave it a try?
I don't really want to do
wait,
that.
Kevin, you ruined the illusion. You were supposed to be invisible.
We're 40 minutes late to the podcast, and now it looks like I'm the reason.
I had to deal with a
Kevin,
tree trimmer.
Boo.
So I need to get some trees trimmed. So there's like 20 trees that need to be trimmed. Guess what the quote I got from the tree trimmer to trim 20 trees?
$20,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
$21,000.
What?
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Is that
I
normal?
thought I was memeing, but that
I think
sounds
it's
like
normal when you
It's
want to
not-
make a lot of money as a tree trimmer.
It's not normal to trim your trees. That's your neighbor's problem.
I was sitting there looking at the trees, and I was like, these really need to be trimmed. But also, that seems really expensive. And now I'm trying to figure out what's more expensive, a tree falling on a house or trimming the tree before it falls on the house.
I can trim the trees with the laser, I think.
I was thinking that I did think about doing it myself, but then I looked up at the trees and I was like, I probably shouldn't do this myself. Anyways, if there's anyone who's listening to this who's willing to cut down a couple of trees for like, I don't know, like maybe $500, hit me up.
Have you seen how they my neighbor just cut down like 21 giant pine trees. And have you seen how they do it? Like, number one, they have these awesome, they have these boots that you wear and they have giant spikes in them and they can climb up the tree. Then they cut it down 3-foot section at a time, and it just falls down. And they
if you hire Spider-Man to cut your tree down, of course it's going to cost $20,000. But I'll just take a guy or a girl.
Just a guy.
I don't need Spider-Man. You don't have to have any fancy boots.
You can buy those boots on Amazon. So if anybody wants to make
$500.
I
guarantee you, Jake Laser has those boots. I'm sure he's got a box somewhere that has those boots in them.
How many DJI drones do we have to fly full speed into the trees to trim them?
How many drones can you get for $20,000?
Probably enough.
Yeah,
probably.
Nigel, are you looking at memes?
No,
Are you
I
looking
can
at
just
boots?
tell that you're browsing emails.
Are you looking at boots?
I'm not on emails. I'm
You're
on
watching
my
porn.
Synology.
Hey, well, why don't you guys look at this instead?
Whoa!
Yeah, trash can.
How did you change the camera feed just now? How do you do that?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, whoa!
Kevin's very skilled.
That's awesome.
You know, you should put a little TV in there so it could be us, and so you cut to a cam that's just us in a trash can.
Oh my god, that's genius.
Where we belong. Do like a Pepper's Ghost. We have a mini version of us in a trash can.
I want to make a version of that for Nigel, because if we start having more things happen around LA and Nigel's still in Canada, we need to have him have a ghostly presence somehow.
in the.
Oh
trash
yeah, we
can.
can just get a cardboard cutout and project him onto it.
Look how pale he is, though. He's basically already a ghostly presence.
This is what winter does to me.
You always look like this.
Yeah, but no. So what I'll say is, it's in the summer.
Okay.
If you go, oh my god, I have a farmer's tan. My shoulder's so white, but then you realize that in the winter you don't have a farmer's tan.
Lift your sleeve up right now.
Look, you don't. I don't. It is a
It's
bit
the
whiter.
same color.
No, it is actually.
Oh,
whiter.
it is
I don't
whiter.
even know
Holy
how that's
God,
possible.
Nigel, how are you whiter than me? I also have the pink light, which is.
I always thought that I just had the same.
Actually, Kevin probably should be the whitest.
How do you even have? How do I even have
should be the
slightly
whitest?
darker arms?
Well,
Yeah,
I am the whitest.
I think Kevin is literally the whitest person here.
I don't know. Maybe it's the lighting, but Nigel's skin is like porcelain.
I said Kevin should be.
Should be.
Yeah.
Okay, but Nigel, he looks like the definition of beauty for like a Victorian woman.
Oh, like the
his
geishas, the
alabaster
Japanese
skin.
geishas.
It's just because my my lighting in my
It was
office
like it was
is
fat and porcelain skin, right? 'Cause
Yeah. I think Nigel, you would have a lot of male suitors 200 years ago.
Yeah, you
Who
just,
says I don't? Currently,
just do the GoMad challenge for another couple months, and you'll have both attributes of beauty.
it took me I think like 12 years to recover from GoMad. So
Are you still in recovery?
no, it's only recently. Like I think it was like a couple.
Back
2
on
years
the
ago
juice.
that I drank milk and my body didn't just reject it.
Can somebody listening to this podcast do me a favor and edit together just every time Nigel has like talked about a story and milk and whatever, and then put it into an hour-long Nigel only
supercut.
podcast? I really want to
Nigel
see
GoMad supercut.
Yeah, I want to see what the Nigel only Go Mad podcast for Safety Third would look like.
I'm on the
to
milk.
make
I'm
up
off
for
the
that.
milk. I don't.
Yeah.
Milk doesn't. I don't.
How many gallons of milk do you think of GoMad milk do you think you've drinking? Drank? Drunk?
Drink drunk.
Drinking, I think, is like German.
He used to drink, but he still does too.
Yeah, exactly. No, I actually don't drink milk anymore.
Okay, so I need to figure out how to cut these trees without spending $20,000 because that's ridiculous. Does anyone have any ideas? How do you cut down trees?
Can you
for
burn them?
less? That is a very
You're
good
cutting
idea.
down trees or trimming them?
Trimming them. I don't know. What's the difference?
Uh,
I have the solution. Okay.
I have a solution too.
Okay, you go first.
Oh, have you ever seen how they cut the trees on the side of highways?
Oh, with the helicopter?
Will-
With
Yeah, the helicopter and the
helicopter
giant
license.
blade.
I found
That's
this.
what you need to do.
You remember the heavy equipment I posted that I found on Facebook
Yeah,
Marketplace?
you found something like that, right?
Yeah, the giant
It was like
hydraulic
a boom arm with like four saw
Exactly.
blades on
It looked like a transformer arm,
That's
like
all
something
you
you would
need.
have you'd see in a Michael Bay movie.
That,
Yeah.
well, there you go. You got it.
Well, the problem is that thing was $100,000.
Rent
Oh,
Kevin's
well.
50-foot lift thing he had and just hang chainsaws off it.
Well, okay, here's the thing. You could start your own tree trimming business, and it'd only take 5 houses for you to break even.
That's true.
That's true.
That's well, 5 houses that have 20 trees. That's quite a bit.
Yeah, but, you know.
All right, let's say you were the last person on Earth and you had to trim these trees. What would you do? Would you climb up them? Would you rent a lift, or would you steal a lift from a yard because there's nobody left on Earth?
I wouldn't do it.
Because you need insurance too, right?
Yeah, if there was no one else on Earth, I can't think of a reason why I'd have to trim the
Why
trees.
are you cutting the trees?
Because
they've
they're like leaning over the house.
They've evolved millions of years.
They
to
literally
not need
fall over
trees.
all the time. They evolved in Australia and then they
Kevin.
freaking brought them here.
Kevin, if
That
they
house has been there for millions of years, and they've adapted to its presence. They will never fall on the house.
Well, I'm saying
They know.
a lot of people
My house
trim
has the
trees because they
dominant
want
wood.
them to be healthy and they want them to look good. Well,
I'm
they
going to
do
search
that
right
by
now.
themselves.
Jeez, eucalyptus is a crazy word. Tree fall.
I keep it
Oh,
wild.
get koalas. Get koalas to
They
trim
don't
your
eat
trees.
the
Eucalyptus.
tree. They eat the leaves.
You're right.
Yeah, but it'll make the branches less heavy. Actually, I guess
Actually,
they'll
it
be
won't-
heavier with koalas. So
Yeah, and then they won't have any wind resistance when they crash through your roof.
Okay, I just looked up
right.
pictures of eucalyptus tree falling over, and every single picture is a eucalyptus tree falling over. So I know that this is a very biased search, but I feel like this does happen more than it should. Okay.
So you have 20 trees hanging over your house?
I'm in a predicament right now because there's 20 trees that are either going to fall in my house or the neighbor's house, and a man gave me a quote for $21,000.
Huh. How many crash pads can you buy for $20,000 to put on the roof? That would also
How much will
solve
it?
your
It's only
problem.
$20,000 to fix a roof, so I say take your chances.
But the tree will go through the whole house, Kevin, not just the roof.
No, the roof should stop it.
Oh wait, airbags. Can you cover your roof like the shingles are like car airbags, so that if it hits it, it will like protect
That's a really
the
good
roof?
idea too.
Here's my idea, and I'm bringing this up because I need to crowdsource some help. So there was like this scientific paper I read way back in the day about using lasers to cut down trees. They're like, oh well, we can just put like these like pulsed ruby lasers, like that the
God.
tanks use. This was the Army's idea. So like the tanks have a laser rangefinder on them. So what if we can make that more powerful and then just use it to like like cut through tree branches and like clear paths or
And they
something
just
like that.
just shoot it straight into the forest?
No, this was like a laser.
Like, where does the other end of the laser end up?
Doesn't
like,
matter.
Just
That's
out
like
there.
towards.
Alan,
That's
you're thinking about this the wrong way.
That's Germany's problem.
As long
or
as we
whoever
get
were
done what
fighting
we
back
need to
then.
get done, whatever trail we leave behind us doesn't matter.
I mean, there was a guy on YouTube that made a laser lawnmower like fairly
Yes.
recently.
What?
Also, I
Really?
can't find this paper anymore, so if somebody
Yeah,
has
it didn't work very
send it to
well,
me.
but it was a good tile thumb.
You remember
No,
that?
So this brings me to my invention. It's a laser tree cutter downer. How do I say this? I feel vindicated in my hoarding right now because like 2 months ago I had this like belt, that you would use for a 3D printer, like a stepper motor.
Yeah.
I had like 20 feet of this and like a big roll, and I'm like, I haven't touched this in 5 years, and I threw it away. And then today, like a couple weeks later, I'm like, I need this today, right now, and I don't have it, and I threw it away. So this is, I should have.
Wait, how does that vindicate you though? I feel like
Because I should have kept it.
Should
Yeah.
have kept it.
Should have kept it.
I feel like the only way that works is if you throw stuff out. If you kept it, then there's like whatever would have happened would have caused you to not need it. You know what I mean? I think that's the only way it works.
It's part
Like,
of
you only-
God's plan. That's God's plan. It's
Yeah, it's only gonna rain if you don't bring your umbrella outside.
But I feel like that's just how why people hoard is they hold on to that one time that they
Yeah,
they
exactly.
saved.
Like they're
But-
still riding
yeah.
that high from that one time they need like the Q-tip that they've had in their drawer for 35 years. And
Okay,
then
here
they
I got a
eat
good one. A couple months ago when I was like trying to fix the embroidery machine, I was gonna get rid of the ceramic eyelets that the threads travel through because of the wear. Otherwise the threads over time will cut through steel. Apparently, I was going to replace them with like Teflon or something. So I made this whole like little clamping heated clamp setup where you would like take a little piece of Teflon, you would clamp it into the hole where the eyelet on the embroidery machine is, and it would like melt it in place. I ended up not doing it. I got like halfway through it, and then I realized that the threads will actually wear through the Teflon way faster than like everything else.
Really?
Like
Okay.
even though it's slippery, it's still abrasive, and so it will cut
Right.
through it. And so I had bought 2 PID, or maybe it was 1 PID controller. So I had a temperature controller, I had thermocouples, I had a bunch of crap I had bought. And I was like, well, I guess that was a waste of money. And then just this week, I had to figure out how to heat the vat of my resin printer. So guess what I did? I used the temperature controller and the thermocouple from the previous thing. And so it was like, it
Did you
felt,
just like dip the thermocouple in the resin or something?
No, it's a big aluminum frame with the FEP, the whatever it is. It's everything's Teflon. That the film is on the bottom of the vat, and so I just heat the aluminum up. So I got that barrel heater. So I went on McMaster and bought I looked for heaters. Actually, why if you've never used McMaster before, you should go to McMaster Car and check it out. It's very expensive. But you're not paying for stuff. You're paying for how insanely cataloged it is.
Oh my god!
I just searched for
McMaster is a
heaters.
god. I love it.
It's crazy. I'm like, I need a heater, but I don't really know what kind of heater. I just need something to like heat up either the chamber or the frame that the vat is in, or the vat frame, blah blah blah. And so I type in heater, and then I stumble across drum heater. It's this like adhesive strip of silicone that has like some sort of like ceramic filament in it, and you just
Nice.
adhere it to the side of a barrel, and it heats the barrel up for if you need something in a barrel to be warm. I'm like,
good.
all right, cool. So I bought one of those, 30 inches long, 300 watts. And then I just taped
Like
that
120 volts.
120 volts. I taped it to
So
the resin
easy.
vat because it's a really big vat. It's a big resin printer, and then I used the temperature controller. And so it's like buying that and not using it, and then not throwing it away. And I was able to make something like that day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, McMaster. They're always like next day or 2-day shipping too. So
Yeah.
that's always really nice.
I feel like there's a lot of confirmation bias. How many times?
Oh, look
have you
who's
kept
talking!
something
Of all the
and
people here, you're number
I
2
have
on the
been-
hoarder, maybe 3.
I have been getting rid of so many things. I think that's why I'm kind of like trying to argue against
Yeah,
it right now, because I've
okay,
been
all right.
actively
He's
working on getting
reformed.
rid of stuff.
Yeah, like
I'm
he's
trying
mad at
to
himself and he's
reform.
taking it out on
I've
us. He
been getting rid
wishes
of-
he had all that old
That's
crap.
why
He's
I
like,
threw away those ultrasonic
No, I am
misters.
glad that
And I regret it.
Alan's
There
like,
were
only if I
another
had all
thing.
this
A couple
crap,
of
I would be
times
happy.
Where I had some stuff that was
It happened to me
useful. I
twice
thought we were all
today.
going to keep talking over each other.
Yo,
I don't know what I was
let's do
I
it.
was
Yeah,
trying
you
to
too,
make
Nigel. You got to join the
But it was on the
conversation.
dumpster, so I had these ultrasonic misters
No.
that I've had for a while.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, oh my god, that'd be perfect to make
Right.
instead of using a
not
fan
going
to
to come
make
in
flames,
handy.
like
The one
ultrasonic
time where you
misters.
do it doesn't
And then
justify every
I
other
threw those
time.
out like
It
a month ago.
does.
I think
saved
it
the power supplies.
doesn't-
Why did I save the power
it's
supplies? I have a
not
million 12-volt
worth
power supplies.
the one
I
time
threw away
that you
the
get the
ultrasonic
use of it.
misters.
What if you
It's
need like
damn
14 power
It's like,
supplies
you
for
wanna
something.
play
It
on
does
a
come with
slot
power
machine
supply.
just 'cause,
What
like,
if you
the
need
one
more
time you
watts,
might
but you
win?
don't want to get a bigger power supply?
No.
I'll just use one of my
Nigel
dozen
didn't participate at all. I saw you, Nigel.
I
Nigel
tried
didn't even
really hard
try.
to understand what was happening, and all I got were power supplies.
Do you know?
That's all I know.
power supplies.
A couple years ago.
No, Kevin, don't
few-
show us your pile. He's got a pile.
Kevin, fix your door.
Holy shit, Kevin.
How many
That's-
watts do you want?
that's
how
not
many,
bad.
How many watts? Okay. No, you don't think this is that bad?
For anyone listening via audio, Kevin right now has from his closet pulled out an entire box filled
Power
with power
supplies.
supplies. Are they
Okay,
wall warts or are they like?
Yeah, they're all every single kind.
I want a 70-watt, 13-volt AC power adapter.
Boom. Pulls it out.
Yeah, God,
I
that would
have
be
10
amazing.
volts. What uses
What
10
about,
volts? I don't know.
Why do you have that then?
I
Do you
Why
not have a
not?
benchtop power supply that could
Yeah,
just
but it can't
provide
put
you
out
10
40
volts?
amps.
It's a mess.
I just emptied my storage unit out. So when we moved out of the house in LA that Michael and I rented, it was sort of right at the beginning of the pandemic, and so I had nowhere to put any of my stuff. So I moved it all into a storage unit and didn't really clean any of it out. And that included a vending machine. You guys remember the vending machine that that
Yes,
was dispensing
yes.
beer and Red Bulls?
Yeah, I really like that vending machine.
So I just pulled everything out of storage and I have it now, and I feel like that vending machine is something that I want to set up again, and I don't regret buying it and I don't regret keeping it.
Well, I think a vending machine it's kind of different, right? It's like it would be a huge pain in your ass to get another one. But
Yeah.
I think for like
where are you going to find a 12-volt power supply that plugs into the wall?
almost everything else, you're like 2 days away from getting it off Amazon. A vending
Yeah.
machine, I understand.
I mean, you're like a day away from getting it off Craigslist.
I think that like when it comes to keeping stuff, there's just a threshold that's worth it. Whereas like it's just the probability of how likely you're going to use it. Certain things are just past that threshold.
So here's my argument for keeping stuff. I think that here's my rule. Maybe if you're gonna keep a bunch of stuff like power supplies, and you need them quickly, maybe you should organize them, right? So it's like they're organized by voltage.
I would have
and-
30 bins.
Well, but then it's like if you don't need 30 bins, then maybe
I
you
know.
don't need all the power supplies. Does
You're
that
right,
make sense?
though. It would be so nice to have like everything, like screws, right? Like all your random screws, they're kind of just like lumped in like the screw jar.
Like Kevin's saying this, like we all have the exact same screw
You
jar.
don't have
I
screw
have,
jar?
I have been working on this. I used to have a screw jar, and then I got little drawer organizing bins for
Yeah.
my like one of those like just husky like.
And then I took the
workbenches.
bins and I took the screws and I threw them on the trash.
But you guys
They're
you didn't buy one of those
sorted.
little like
They're sorted
cabinet
now.
things.
I
where
mean,
you
Are
have
they
all the
just
drawers?
grouped in general by diameter, or like are you
For
breaking
the
it down
loose
into
ones,
length?
yeah. So I mean, for the loose screws, yeah, it's just basically it's like anything that's like a 1/4 inch larger, and then anything smaller than that, and then machine versus like wood screw. But then for
Oh,
anything
yeah.
that I still have new, like they're in their appropriate bins. It actually is fantastic. Like,
Yeah. Michael Reeves had it all like down by diameter and length and everything. So that was way more organized than I thought.
I have been having a lot of fun organizing all my shit recently.
Yeah.
It makes you feel like a better person.
I'm gonna need to organize a lot of stuff. Yeah, I organized all my USB cables. Got organized at one point, so they're bagged by connector type, and that's super useful because
Yeah.
it's like you should always keep your USB cables since they're bad. If they're bad, if you have a problem with the USB cable even once, cut the end off. With
No.
a pair of
The trick
pliers.
is you put it back in the bin with all the other ones. And then every time you get it,
boy.
you curse it and throw it back in the bin.
That's you take your aggression out by yeeting it into the bin, not cutting the tip off.
Actually,
so you
wait,
can never use it
I
again.
might even show you guys. I'm so proud of it. Hold on, let me.
Yeah, let me see it.
I've got a system.
Down with the system. He's always got the weirdest stuff on his TV. What is that? AI.
I think it's just yeah. Okay, it's not
AI
Netflix or
versus the
anything.
law.
It's
Oh.
just
Next.
YouTube.
This seems like a good opportunity to promote the new Safety Third merch. If you guys don't know, we went to Japan last year, and while in Japan, I made a T-shirt called Mr. Hamburgas, and I drew it. I drew it on my iPad in Procreate, And here it is in t-shirt form.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Isn't that great? I'm actually really happy with how this came out. And it's actually, we did something new that I've never seen on Embroider except for like infants. It has a backing. So there's an ironed on backing, and so you can't feel the scratchiness that embroidery sometimes can have.
Did you ever explain the story behind the hamburger?
So like, I don't actually. What's the story behind Mr. Hamburger? It was just the only word that was English, right?
The entire trip of Japan.
Watashi wa Mr. Hamburger.
It was a great icebreaker. Everywhere we went.
Yes, because we knew we were saying something because it's the same in English. I think ice cream is similar too, right?
Because it sounds Japanese.
They're loan words. Oh my god.
This is available on the Safety Third shop if you go to the link in the description.
Do I have to buy one? Can you send me one?
No, we'll send you guys. We just got them, so we'll send them. Anyways, go to safetythird.shop and you can get the Dumpster Fire t-shirt, Mr. Hamburger t-shirt, dumpster pins, sticker packs, safety pins of a man getting ground up by gears. And
nice.
Support us and this Zoom call that we do every week.
Today's podcast is sponsored by PayPal Honey. Honey is the #1 shopping tool in America. Honey is genuinely one of the easiest and simplest ways to save money while you're shopping online, and it works for things that you're already buying on sites that you're already using. Once you have Honey, this little icon shows up in the corner of your browser, and when you're shopping, if Honey works with that site, it will automatically find and apply promo codes to save you money. We use Honey when buying the equipment for this podcast, and it made it super easy to save money without spending time looking for promo codes on sketchy websites. You can add Honey to your browser for free and support the podcast by going to joinhoney.com/safetythird. That's joinhoney.com/safetythird.
All right, you guys ready for this? I am. This has
Let's
been
see
like,
it. Come on.
This has been scratching parts of my brain I didn't even know I had. So basically,
What are we looking at? Explain.
I got so many
yeah.
of these Harbor Freight organization bins.
Okay.
And so I started doing this thing where I'm like, I'm not just organizing little parts, I'm like making them kind of like full functioning units. So like this that you're seeing here is like my prototype. I'm very proud of it. This is my electrical connecting briefcase, basically. So you see, it's not just parts. It's like
you got Legos. You got the fairing tool or the fairing tool. Yeah.
And there's
crimpers.
fairings in here also. There's the crimping tool and all the crimps. There's terminal blocks. There's wire nuts. There's Wagos. There's even stuff for like holding wire against like things, electrical tape. So it's like, it's not just parts. It's like everything I would need to use the parts.
It's like an
and
MRE, but for electrical connections.
Yeah. So it's like, I know that like if I'm out in the garage and I like need to make a bunch of electrical connections, I just grab the one thing. Because before I had parts and I had tools and they were separate, but now I'm trying to combine them by use. So I know like, okay, if I'm going to be using like if I get something to crimp onto a wire, I'm going to need the thing that crimps and the thing to crimp on. And before I had them separate. That's not the way.
For context for the audio listeners, Alan is holding up a bin filled with electrical components and tools. It's a bin of all the things you need to take two wires and turn them into one wire.
Yeah, so this has been like, I don't know if like maybe the equivalent is like an old lady like doing puzzles. I've been having a lot of fun just like figuring out what to put in these bins that like thematic.
I think you're talking about an old lady doing opiates.
Actually, no, you know what it is? I just realized just now. This is what happens when I'm not building Magic the Gathering decks at Will's house. Is I start putting like it's literally the exact same concept. I'm like, oh, like this card synergizes with this card, and these colors work well together.
This
but it's, like,
three-connector
tools and
Wago
materials.
nut. Well, wait, but no, we need the 10 gauge. No, we need the thicker Wagos. We'll synergize with the American twist wire nut.
We don't need the
just
5
realized.
Wago. We just need 2 3s, and that way we can bridge them to make if we need.
Well, guess what, buddy? I've got a thing for both. There's your 2s.
I'm
There's
pretty
your
sure
3s. There's your 5s.
You can build a computer with all those Wagos.
Alan, what happens when you get a part that doesn't fit into your kit?
Oh, don't say.
Well,
don't.
I'll figure it out. It's like
Then he kills himself.
Yeah, that's the end. That's the end of the line for me. I'm in a perfect place of stasis. If this is everything I need, if I get one more thing that's useful, I'll die. There's no more room here.
Then you have to get a whole new bin, but you don't have enough useful stuff to put in the other bin.
I think part of it might actually be that I hit kind of like a critical mass of stuff where it's like, if I didn't have enough stuff it wouldn't make sense to put it all in one bin. But I like finally got enough stuff where I was like, wait, all these go together.
Yeah.
So I've been having a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, I need to do that. I kind of did it, and then you just accumulated more things.
Oh, you ruined the balance.
Yeah.
You got to just like reach a point of things that you have
then-
being enough and
then
never
die.
get more things. Yeah, and then get buried
It's
with
the
them like an
circle of
Egyptian
life,
pharaoh.
Will.
Yeah, you trying to tell me to not buy more stuff? There's literally only one thing that's going to stop me from buying stuff.
And then when you die, your wife goes to a ham fest or something, and she pawns it all off on
For a
some other
nickel.
kid. Yeah, exactly.
Some kid gets a really nice set of tools.
And then he throws them all away because they're all crap.
I mean, the thing is, the wire connecting bin's the one I've had the most luck with. I've been trying this with all sorts of things, and they haven't been as good. This one's like my baby. I don't know why. It just kind of worked.
I feel like having to organize all your parts is a very common problem. Why is there no system why is everyone having to come up with their own system all the time?
Because it's different
called-
for everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's called
'cause, like,
McMaster-Car.
what
Go
are you
walk into a
gonna, like-
McMaster-Car warehouse and you'll understand the problem with sorting a wide variety of indefinitely
Well,
expanding objects.
That's my problem, because I try to organize like all the screws and bolts, and it got to the point where you just stock a certain amount and then everything else you just throw away.
Screw jar, screw
No, you
jar,
just
screw
you
jar.
you
Like
get
Kevin-
a handful of random pieces, and I kind of have you throw them out of sight because you have no idea what to do.
No,
with
there are
them.
times where the screw jar can come in really handy. Like, the screw jar has its place. I'm a big fan of the screw jar. I've just taken my screw jar and like separated out like into a little more order. But I think having screws you don't care about is nice. It's really nice.
I remember a long time ago, Kevin bought gas cylinders for office chairs off of Amazon because he wanted to do a video with it. And up until like last year, I had been holding on to them. So I've been holding on for like probably 3 years at that point. And we
You
went
got rid
through
of
the
my gas
garage
cylinders?
cleaning it. Yeah,
What the hell?
Alan did. Alan threw them away.
You
Yeah, I waited a year to reveal
Kevin.
that to see if Will needed them in that year, and he didn't. He never
Oh, that's
even
right.
noticed they were gone.
I think you told me about that last
Yeah.
time I was over there. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna,
I told a couple of people in like I said, do not tell Will this, but I've thrown away those office chair air cylinders.
Yeah.
By the way, I was looking for this $10,000 cash I had laying around. Did you throw that one away too? Can I have that back? Okay.
No, you don't need it. It's just taking up space. You don't need that in your
No,
life.
I have to I have to trim some trees. I really actually do need that. Apparently, I need 2 of those.
I've been trying, because I like have such a hard time throwing things away usually.
Yeah.
I've been like actively trying to figure out how to like, I don't want to be like a minimalist, but I do want to like try and understand where the line is between like when things are worth keeping and not. I've been working on
I
that.
really think that if you can't organize it, you shouldn't keep it. So like if you don't have some semblance of organization for the things that you have, you need to consider getting rid of them. So it either means you need to buckle down and organize it because you're going to use it frequently enough that you need to hoard it. And if you need to hoard it because you're going to use it, it should be organized. And if you can't bring yourself to do that, it means you don't actually need it that bad.
I was gonna say, what you need to do, Alan, is think about showing it to somebody else, your collection, whatever it is. And if you feel shame, then you definitely need to get rid of it.
Well, the problem is I don't think I'd ever feel fully ashamed.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying like if,
I don't have enough of that to motivate me.
No, I
Yeah.
guess it's just like
Alan's shame saturated.
Yeah.
Actually,
I've
shaming him
dealt-
makes him horny, Nigel. You really,
Yeah,
No, but
I-
Alan,
you really
Alan,
are.
Alan,
used to a-
Alan. It's just
I'm
Alan,
so
you've
used
been
to
a bad
background level
boy.
of shame.
It's like, Alan, when
that can only make me more happy.
when I went to
now.
your place and we like whatever, we have to set up the air mattress. And be like, oh, sorry, it's a little messy here. If you say that, you're acknowledging it should be clean, right? If you say nothing, then I would think nothing. I'm like, oh, he's just a messy guy. But you're thinking I'm thinking that, and you're trying to counteract it, which means that in your head it's bad.
Okay, here's the thing. Nigel, wait. I guess has anyone else been to Nigel's lab in
No.
person?
He hasn't invited us.
This is there's
No one wants to
there's.
come to Canada.
Let me explain something to you guys.
Okay.
Something else about, because I know we've talked about the lasers, but something else about Nigel's lab is that he has.
They don't flush the toilet.
I mean, it flushes itself. There's like a robot.
That's
bidet thing
not
going on.
true.
I assume
That's
it flushes
fancy.
itself. I mean, it opens its mouth when you enter
It's
the
a bidet.
room. It's kind
It's
of
a
freaky.
bidet.
It like asks you for it. But Nigel has this mental Rain Man map of where things are stored in his lab. I did this. We did this. It was amazing. You go into this lab. It's got endless drawers. You point at one just across the room. You say, Nigel, what is in that drawer? And he will tell you. And he was
Yeah.
right 80% of the time. You missed maybe one or two. And it was for fair reason. You were like, oh, I just moved that one.
There's this
I could do
thing
that.
at my house. So I call it the shadow realm.
Alan just has bad memory.
I know where everything is. Like my entire house in my head is like 1 by 1 foot cubes.
Yes.
Like I know where everything should be. And if it's not there, I call it having been shadow realmed because it means somebody moved it. And so it's not like it doesn't have a place. I just know where I normally put it or where I last put it. It has a space.
Place. It has a space.
Exactly. So it's like, when I come home, my wallet and knife, I put them on the table in the living room, the coffee table. And if anyone ever moves them, I will run around the entire house like a chicken with my head cut off trying to find them.
So wait, can you all do that? Just know where your things are?
Yeah.
I don't have. While I was cleaning up the other day, I found 3 unopened packages of JB Weld in 3 different places.
That's amazing.
'Cause I
You
kept
have
buying
3
JB Weld 'cause
packages
I
of
thought I
JB
didn't
Weld you
have
can
it.
use in the future.
But see, wait, Kevin, you know we're just things. If I point to a drawer in your garage somewhere, you're gonna tell me what's in it.
It's almost like if you ask me where something is, I know where it is. But if you just
He can't
prompt
tell
me
you? He can
what's-
only move his
what's
body there.
here, I don't know what's here. But if you tell me you need something that's in there, I'll know where it is.
I've
can't do
called
that.
it organized chaos, where it's a mess to anyone except me, where it's I know where it is and I can get it every single time. The whole system falls apart if something gets moved though. If I put it down somewhere or forget it, then it's a total meltdown.
I just have so much stuff that I need to have an organization, or I will find nothing.
What would you do if you ever had to move?
I've moved multiple times.
But the collection grows every time.
Yeah, and that's why now it's I have to start putting labels on things because.
And if your landlord has any idea the predicament you're in, he can absolutely ring you.
What do you mean?
Raising rent 50% every year. 'Cause he
No, we
knows
signed a lease so that they can't.
for
But
how long.
6 years.
Okay.
Oh, 6.
Whoa.
It's long.
Your YouTube
Wow.
channel will be dead by then.
I know. It's always a joke because my mom works with me, and every time
You don't want to say works for me?
I don't say anyone works for me because I don't like that.
Because then I have to pay them more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's just weird because it's not really. That's not there's not a dynamic of where anyone really does things for me like that. But my mom always makes jokes. Or she always if my brother and I say something, she's always just remember, we got 5 more years.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh yeah. Yep.
You could probably convert it to a daycare or something. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah. Just literally don't move anything. Just start calling it a daycare.
It would always
just
be
have kids in there.
my brother and I will say something. We'll be talking. I'm like, yeah, we can't make videos for I got 3 more years in me, and my mom will just pop out of nowhere and be like, "But the lease is 6," and we're like, "Oh no, oh no."
I mean, you can probably leave before 6.
We put in a clause that you have to pay to break it, but after 4 years, it's pretty weak.
I think those clauses usually are for the tenant, because I don't think if anything, the landlord wants you to wants to get new people in because they can keep raising the rent.
It's when we got this place, we had to go through what's it called? We had to talk to just a lawyer, I don't know what he's called, a lease lawyer who would go over it was a long lease, and I always remember what he told me because I was scared of all these clauses if you just break the lease, and his answer was oh, it's to protect them, but yeah, you don't have to worry about those. I'm like, why? He's like, oh, I mean, just leave fast enough and they'll never be able to enforce any of them.
Yeah.
He goes, I've never seen them enforced. He goes, because everyone who breaks their lease gets out of there so quickly. It's if I know I'm going to default to my lease, I've moved all my stuff out of here, and then suddenly when payment stops happening, they come to investigate, and it's just empty here, and they're like, oh.
I think that
Okay.
it's they don't care until it starts costing them money. So if they can just get somebody else in there, then it's fine. If the economy crashed and you were locked in, they would fight you to death because they wouldn't have to try to find somebody. Like whoever they found would have to be, would be a lower rate.
Yeah, it's basically what's
This is
cheaper,
binding
bringing
legal
someone to
advice
court.
from your lawyer, William Osman.
No, but it's cheaper. What's
Yeah.
cheaper, bringing someone to court or just finding a new tenant? And it's almost
Bringing them to
always
court.
finding a new
It's
tenant.
always cheaper.
And you can do both.
Usually,
If you're really spiteful.
Yeah.
usually you don't though, because it's like the lawyer said. He's just like, if you know you're going to break your lease, he's like, you've already liquidated everything you own and declared bankruptcy often. So by the time they show up, they're like, you have no assets in the company. So it's like they're suing a nothing.
Like, well, when we got out of every lease we've had, we've actually broken like a month early. Not broken, but we've like moved out a month early with permission. But the
Made
one
it sound like you're a
stipulation.
horrible tenant.
No. I basically, like, what happens is we learn that we're not going to stay, or the one where they kicked us out, and I was like, well, if you're not going to renew the lease, can we get out a month early?
Yeah.
All they really care about is getting somebody else
Yes.
in there, and so the stipulation has always been okay, but you have to let us show it while you're still in there.
Yeah. I mean, that's even in my lease now, where it's like, if I want to leave, you have to say it within like 6 months. And
Yeah, so they can get somebody else in there. So like, as long as you like help them get a new tenant in there, they probably won't care. That's, I think, when they would start getting really vindictive, is if their bottom line is if they're gonna make less money, which is lovely. I mean, we moved out of the storage unit, and this is like a good example. And the storage unit door, when the movers came to move it, was stuck. It was like not welded, but it was like broken. And it took like 2 hours to get a maintenance guy to come and open the security door. And the movers charged by hour.
well,
And
naturally.
so the door being broken costs us like $150. The movers don't care. And it's like, who gets to pay that? The company who I'm paying rent that the door is broken. And so the service I'm paying to get out of there has to sit there and, lollygag. Or me. Right? Like, it doesn't make sense for me to pay it because it's not my equipment that failed. Like, and I've been paying them every month. So it's just like,
Yeah,
I mean, that's I guess
tough.
kind of and that's the whole thing, is like, if they made, an agreement and their business depends on it, and then you bail on it and they can't get somebody else in.
And
like,
then is it
obviously they
worth
don't
your
wanna
time to try to fight them about it? Because
Right.
they're going to drag it on
Exactly.
forever.
So like, am I going to fight them for $140? Like, well, I'm kind of stubborn, so maybe. But I would definitely be super pissed if they did one of those like extra month things where it's like, oh, well, you didn't cancel within this time. It'd be like, absolutely not. Plus the fact that this ended up costing us more money. Like, just we'll call it even.
What I was gonna say, what I do think is funny though, is that as a commercial tenant, you have no rights. So unlike if it's where you live, you have no one's supposed to live here, so you have no rights. And my cousin is a real estate agent who helped us get the place, and she was like, she's seen some stuff that she goes, oh my god, people didn't pay their rent, and then the what's it called? The owners were like, well, we're evicting you. And they got the right. I don't know if they don't even need really the right. Apparently
Yeah,
it's
they can
in the
just do it,
lease.
yeah.
Like if you default on 3 months, we can just liquidate your assets. Like your lease is terminated,
Oh.
and anything that's still there, since you're not paying for it, is no longer your right to be there. And we determined it as abandoned. So apparently they just came in, removed the doors in the winter, and just started taking everything out of it. So they're like, you don't even have. They just put on like it's like the warehouse area. It doesn't need to be heated, so you just have no heat. You have no door. It's just like they just started pulling all of the items out.
All the kids in the
crazy.
daycare froze to death.
Yeah, they're all
Yeah, they took the kids. They sold the kids, got whatever value they
These
could
are
out of them.
ours now.
That's probably like pushing the limits of legality, but it's like not the daycare thing. I'm
Jeez.
saying like just taking the doors off. But it's not like if you live there, like you can't just freeze a family out.
I mean, there's rules. If you have like a tenant who isn't paying, you have to keep water and
Yes.
power and electricity on, even if you are paying it. So like, I remember my parents, they have a guest house that they rent out, and I remember one time this lady, she stopped paying. Like this happened all within like 3 months too. It was insanity, and they don't trust anybody anymore. She stopped paying like immediately. Like she paid like the to get in, and then just that was it. And it took like 3 months, and you can't like because it was attached to the home's meter and everything, like they were paying the water bill and the electrical bill and the gas bill, and there was nothing they could do other than go through the legal process. So it's like even though you're paying for their water, you still have to keep it connected, which it seems kind of crazy because it's like it's just someone basically stealing your water at that point. Like if your neighbor hooked a hose up to your faucet and started, like, they can't do that. But if there's somebody living, even if I don't know. I mean,
it's kind of like, I mean, to a more extreme extent here, since it gets so cold in the winter. Technically, it's a crown corporation, our power, so it is government run. But it's like you're not allowed. I think, in the gas company, you can't cut those services in the winter.
Right.
But the moment it hits a certain temperature outside, they can just remove your power.
Yeah, wait. How come power companies can cut power then?
Because I guess you don't really need power to live.
You could always
but you're not supposed
fire.
to cut it even if a tenant isn't. I don't know enough about this. I feel like you're not supposed to cut power though if you have a tenant, even if they're not paying rent.
I always thought here you could. It's just you couldn't do it when it was below a certain temperature.
Maybe California is very good for renters.
I think California, especially like LA County, it has very, very strong tenant rights. I mean, that's, a good thing generally, I think, if you're looking at sort of like tenants versus landlords.
Yeah, unless you're a landlord.
Generally has more power. No, I mean, it sucks if you're a landlord, but it's like, those are in place because as a landlord, you have the ability to like really, really mess up someone's life. And I guess it just balances out by making your tenants able to mess up your life in return.
In California, it is illegal for a landlord to remove or force a tenant out of a rental unit by any method other than going through the court procedure. It is illegal to turn the utilities off for non-payment. So you literally have to keep paying the utilities, and the only way to get them out is through the official legal process.
Yeah, although I mean, even with those like laws, it's really like that gets abused all the time. Like it's really easy for landlords to like basically just not care because, like, as a tenant, especially if you're kind of like poor, you don't have money. How are you going to fight that?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I guess there's a difference too between what I was saying and what you were saying. I just realized that it's like it's probably illegal for the landlord to cut the power off on the tenant. But it's like in the case that I was thinking of here, it's if like you're a homeowner and you just stop paying electricity, then it's like so there's not like a tenant landlord coercion problem. It's like you're just not paying your utilities and you're the landowner.
So they'll leave it on until it hits a certain temperature and then all bets are off and then they can
well, they're
turn it
just
off.
like, dude, like, come on, like, what are you doing? But yes, it makes sense that you couldn't, if your like tenant stopped paying, that it's more complicated because then, in theory, if the landlord wanted to kick the person out, they could just stop paying for the power.
Okay,
and make
wait,
their
all right.
life
So
terrible.
check this out. If you don't pay your bill within 19 days after it was mailed, the utility company will send you a notice that your service will be terminated no less than like 15 days after the notice was mailed. And then you have 19 days to pay. So like essentially it takes like a month and then they'll turn your power off. I think that evictions typically take more than that. So a power company is allowed to cut your power off more quickly than you could get a tenant out of a property. Mm-hmm. So you could literally just not pay your own power bill, and then you could get the power company to shut your power off to cut the tenant's power off.
But then your power would also be cut off.
you couldn't cut the tenant's power off. Is that right? I feel like this might be right.
That's
why are big companies the higher you are, the more shit you can do? Like the bigger you are, you can just absolutely like bulldoze people.
Isn't that just...
So I was in that situation like fresh out of college. I was a kid. I didn't have any money. I didn't know what I was doing. And what happened was we called it Dark House, me and my 3 roommates, because it was just because it was just a joke at that point. It was like kind of like our lives were so bad that it kind of was just funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were into it. Like we had parties without power and we had glow sticks and you had to take a glow stick into the shower with you because otherwise you couldn't see anything when you were taking a shower.
It sounds like as kids, like people who go through traumatic stuff and then as adults they realize how bad it was, but as their memory of it as a kid was like an adventure. But you did that as an adult. Like that.
It was fucked up. It shouldn't have happened, and we definitely should have like sort of like seeked legal recourse, but we just didn't know any better. So what happened was we were renting a house that belonged to a woman that died like 3 years previous, and it turned out that like her nephew was collecting our rent on her behalf, and I guess you're not allowed to do that if the person died. Like you can't just collect rent money from property if it wasn't sort of explicitly left to you in their will. And I guess she didn't have it. So technically what happened was the house became the estate of California. And so this guy had been collecting rent for years illegally. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he went to jail or whatever. But basically, like, one day, like, a nice woman in a suit came by, and she's like, hey, just so you know, like, we're not going to raise your rent, but, like, this house belongs to the state of California now, and we're going to sell it. But this whole time, you're protected. Your rent's not going to increase, but you got to make the checks out to us now. And they eventually sold it to, like, one of those, like, student housing companies that just, like, guts places and raises the rent. And because the tenant laws were so strong, like, they tried to, like, strong arm us out of there, but they couldn't really do anything, except in the original lease, the landlord, the dead landlord, was the one paying for all utilities. And somehow
Ghost landlord.
Yeah, the ghost landlord was paying the utilities somehow. But then once it changed hands to California and then to the new student housing group, somehow they were like, oh, well, we never saw the original lease. We can't be expected to pay the utilities. That's not in the agreement. And so, I mean, basically what happened was they stopped paying for the utilities. And the worst part was we were willing to pay for utilities, but when we tried to contact LADWP, they said, well, you can't start a new account
Until they cancel the old account.
It's still under their account. We were like,
holy shit.
why? So we tried calling. We were like, how could you not pay for
I-
the utilities if it's under your account? We literally can't pay for it right now. And they're like, well,
Dude.
you got to figure it out. And so once the 19 days were up, we did not have power. And
Oh
the funny thing was,
my God, that is brilliant.
I assumed when I came home and the lights didn't turn on, I assumed everything was off. And so I tried to, like, reheat the food that I had in the fridge before it went bad. And so I thought that there was no gas. I didn't even try. I just thought there was no gas. So what I did was I had some fried rice. I reheated it by just pouring like denatured alcohol, just like ethanol, on top of the stove. I lit the whole stove on fire.
Okay.
And then I reheated my fried rice on there, and it worked. But then as I was eating it, I was sitting on the couch, I heard the heater kick on. I was like, oh, wait, we had gas the entire time.
Dude.
So we still had hot water. We still had running water. We just didn't have power for like a week and a half while we got that sorted out. And so the whole time we were just like making jokes out of it. Like, we had girls over, and we had like, basically we're like, oh, you got to help us drink this Goldschlager. It's going to go back because our fridge doesn't work anymore.
Oh my God.
When you're 23, you're really resilient. You can deal with all kinds of shit.
You can basically die and you'd still live. What? That is... You know what? Okay, I think I've given this advice before, but to anybody listening, because I've talked to a lot of people, and I really think that this is something you should do if you rent. You have to do this if you rent. Before you leave, a couple weeks before you leave, like a month or whatever it is before you're leaving, ask for an inspection, a pre-move out inspection. You need to give them an opportunity to put their hand in their mouth, their fist in their mouth, by telling you what needs to be fixed. They cannot charge you for shit that they didn't bring up during the inspection. So if you've never gotten your security deposit back and you're tired of it, before you move out, ask your landlord for a pre-move out inspection a couple weeks before you move out.
That's smart. That's really
The
smart.
things they tell you need to be fixed, you fix them. Or don't fix them. Let's say they say there's a couple of holes in the drywall, and your security deposit's what, $2,000? What's the security deposit nowadays? I feel like
I guess
California.
it depends
$2,000
on
is
whatever
pretty
your
standard.
rent is, right?
Yeah, something like that.
And then they say, "Oh, we had to keep your $2,000 because you didn't fix the holes in the wall." Now they're telling you that fixing a couple holes in the drywall costs $2,000. Now it's like you've got dots you can connect to say that's bullshit. So you can either fix it and get all your money back, or not fix it and then fight them when they try to take the whole thing for something that shouldn't have cost that much to repair.
I think I did that when I was moving out of my college apartment. They still charged me. They charged me for the couch. They charged us like $1,200 for the shittiest couch you've ever seen in your entire life. It was like already on its way out. I'm pretty sure it was like a $200 couch from IKEA.
They found it on the side of the road.
$1,200
Wait,
for a
but
couch.
what did they say? It was
that would be a
damaged?
nice couch. Well, so like how these four, like it was one of those shared student housing off campus things where it's like an apartment and there's 4 rooms and they rent them all out individually. So it's like you're only renting your room, but there's like, the kitchen and the dining room. That's like the common area type thing. And like me and one guy moved out, and then like later in the summer, the next 2 people moved out, but they like charged all of us for everything that was like damaged in the main
Dude,
living area.
how is this shit legal? How is that okay?
I think
They
it
charged us
technically
$50,
isn't, but you know,
But you
Some
can't
people-
fight
what are you
it.
gonna do?
Some
Yeah.
people left food in the pantry, and they charged $50 per trash bag that they had to throw out. So it's like, oh,
And you know they're paying people like $8 an hour at the time
Yeah.
to empty it. Like,
so like, you know, we all had to pay $450, and I'm like, you know, I'm not going to pay this. And they're like, well, if you have to find an apartment, you're screwed because, you know, this is going to ding your credit really bad. So you better
Right.
pay. And I was looking for an apartment at the time. So I'm like, screwed. I had to pay it.
Ugh.
and this is
Dude,
from like an
landlord
entity
math
that's
is
making
amazing.
like hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars a year if it was like the campus, and they're just squeezing broke ass college students.
I didn't know
for-
that garbage men were actually getting paid millions of dollars a year. $50 per trash bag to throw away.
Dude, if you
Are you
think
kidding
about
me?
it, like they buy the couch, it's a tax write-off. Then they're renting the couch and they're making money. And then they charge you for damaging the couch, which probably doesn't count as income, right? It's probably just like there's no way they pay tax on that, right? I don't know how that works. But like if they're charging you for damages, that's not taxable income.
It's like one of those fake couches and like the leather's peeling
Yeah.
off of it. And that's like our fault.
And then they buy, so they make money when the couch dies. They save money when they buy the couch. And then they're like that couch is actually profitable beyond just renting it out.
Yeah. Yep.
Just sounds like a good
Wow.
business model
This is
to
making me. Yeah, it's making me want to be a landlord. Honestly,
I think
That sounds
I've realized
amazing.
how bad my business is.
And I apologize to IKEA couches because this couch was so bad. I don't even know how you could make a couch.
Was
Like-
was it IKEA?
No, I don't think so. Because we had an IKEA couch in our house, and it was nice.
Yeah, they're
What?
not bad.
I don't know who makes terrible couches. I don't even know.
I actually don't really.
It
know
was
anything about buying
bad.
couches.
I'm surprised you could. Whatever. Anyway,
You're surprised someone sold a couch so shitty.
I don't want to give an anti-sponsorship to IKEA because they have not harmed me in any way.
Oh yeah, we love
IKEA.
IKEA.
If you want to sponsor this, we'll never talk shit about you.
Yeah.
IKEA, if you're listening.
IKEA, if you're listening, we can do a Safety Third Extra where we try to make combat robots out of only things we find in IKEA.
Dude, did I tell you I wanted to build a CNC machine using only parts from IKEA? I'm certain you could do it. Like you could take. They have
There's good stuff there.
the electronic
Yeah.
right, the chairs or the tables, the standing desks that are
Oh yeah, with
electronic.
the linear actuator.
So you got linear actuators, and then you could encode them. Probably you got like drill motors. You could get like their assembly drills.
They have the
You
automatic
could-
blinds.
Yup, you could
That probably
totally
has-
build.
Yeah.
an
There's a
absolutely
lot
horrible
of
CNC
there's a lot of
machine.
good stuff there. So IKEA, just give us money or free IKEA things,
we'll
or
commit
let us run
crimes.
rampant in a store, and we'll do it.
We'll dress up like
We could
IKEA
do, like, a
employees and
Safety
run around
Third
town punching
sleepover.
people.
Safety Third does trends that are 10 years old.
Wait, that's
Well,
10
the
years
same-
old? I thought that was a good idea.
Is
yeah.
it? It's pretty old. That's got to be like around the Harlem Shake,
Oh,
right?
God.
Well, when people would like try to camp out in IKEA.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty old.
No, I'm talking about like when you go to a science museum and it's like, you know, they let you stay there overnight.
Oh, and not just go to an
legally.
IKEA. And,
Yeah.
That was
I-
hiding in a Walmart in between toilet paper.
yeah, whoever's listening from IKEA, let us do it.
Yeah. There's this video that I wanted to do with Alex Ernst. He has this gumball machine, and we wanted to fill it up with meatballs and try to pitch it to, like, you know, people like have their little vending machine businesses. Like when you go to a business and there's vending machines, it's usually not theirs. It's like a third party contractor that, like,
Yeah.
you know, gives them a cut or something, and try to like sell, like tell them why they should let us install our meatball vending machine in their lobby.
Were they hot or were they cold meatballs?
It depends
Gotta
on
put some
how
little
warm the
heater
day is.
coils in the machine.
Tank heater. A drum heater on it.
You can put a drum heater on each meatball. It's a really good idea.
on each one.
You have to ask the person to please be kind and take the drum heater off and put it on the next meatball.
Keep it at a nice body temperature, 90 degrees ought to do it.
Exactly. if bacteria can't grow in your body, like because it's hot enough, that means that if it's the same temperature, it can't grow in the meatball vending machine.
Just keep it at the temperature of whatever a cow is. That should be okay. Cows don't rot.
It's got to be a couple hundred degrees Celsius.
Actually, I think turkeys turkeys are like a couple degrees away from cooking themselves.
Really?
I think I learned that from a Lewis Weiss video, actually. Like live turkeys, like living body temperature is like 100-some degrees, and when you sous vide something and you can call it cooked, it's like 100 and like teens, I think, or 20s.
110 maybe.
So it's like a
Really?
turkey is like about 10 degrees away from being cooked at any given time when it's alive.
Impressive.
Hey,
Imagine-
we got Audrey Ember. Come on in.
Audrey, wait, she's showing up
She-
for work late. You're late to work.
No,
Audrey.
I had her getting goo for me. She just bought a bunch of goo
A
for
bunch
me.
of goo.
Is the
Yeah,
hand
no,
goo?
seriously, we've got the orange
Goo.
goo.
Oh,
so we got this
goo.
That logo
We got
is
the-
it's like a
the
meme.
Contact cement. So we got that goo. She's been getting goo from me all day. This is her second goo run.
Good job, Audrey.
Why do you need goop? Why y'all?
Yeah, what are you doing with
Because
the goop?
I'm working with a lot of pipes, a lot of just plumbing parts, and so I've been getting very goopy.
Is that the stuff with like the grit in it?
Yeah, the pumice and stuff. Yeah. You want to say anything to the audience?
Audrey, now's your chance. You can say anything you want to literally tens of
Blink.
people.
She's completely silent. She's just staring
You know,
at
people
me.
normally pay money for this privilege, Audrey.
She wants nothing to do with it. We're having a long day today because I gotta try and get this thing done by the end of the month ish, which
So
really
you
means
can pay
February
rent.
10th. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I got all the goo.
All right, well, let's thank everybody for listening to this absolute steaming dog shit of a podcast. We're gonna record an extra. Is that everyone wants to record an extra? Yeah, you got time to record an extra.
I don't think Nigel's on board. I think we ran past the
The allotted
time that
time.
he's got today. What if it's a really fast extra? Do the extras have to be an hour long?
No, we can do 30 minutes.
I mean, I could do 30 minutes like Saturday.
I'd rather do 30 minutes on Saturday with Nigel.
Okay.
Kevin,
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Why? Because
All four of
Kevin
us.
wants to be with
No, 'cause
Nigel.
Kevin says he has a cool
Oh,
idea.
I get it.
Kevin knows
I
that nobody's
see.
gonna watch it unless Nigel.
No, Kevin says he has a cool idea. That's why.
What's the idea? You can't tell us.
No, just like a little game show trivia, guessing.
shit.
You got to guess the picture.
Okay. If it's half an hour, I'll do it now.
Oh, I'm not ready now,
Oh.
but I can. I can.
Oh, Kevin!
Kevin,
Listen,
what
I've
if we
been
just-
busy. Trying,
let's
I
just do
can-
regular
I can-
30 minutes now, and then we can do that Saturday.
Yeah, I won't be able to do Saturday, but we can do regular now.
That's our ad for supporting us on Patreon. We'll see you guys over there.